Hey everyone, Cosmos here from Dolly Games, and this video I'm going to be giving you a comprehensive guide on choosing relics so you can choose the best one for your character. And this is going to follow the article which I posted, which is the choosing artifact relic guide reference, and I'm going to use that as a base. We're going to go over the article, and whatever I need I will show you in the game, in the relics window or in the stats and so forth. And this video should also help those people who didn't fully understand the article, or if some parts were unclear, because I did get some comments which were clear that the people didn't understand something. So let's get into it. We are going to it's I don't know if the video will be long. I'll try to be as short as possible, but also I want to cover all the parts, so you can read the article yourself. I'm gonna jump to the parts I want to highlight. So first up, it's divided into parts, and the first part is part 1 is the analysis of the stats, and this is the table which is presented in the article. And the stats are coming from, of course, if we go to the artifacts, as you can see, I haven't even unlocked mine because I'm not in a rush with those. So the stats are coming from the max preview, where we can see the maximum state of any artifact. The maximum state includes all the cast stones, so all of this maxed out, plus all of the stars upgraded. So that's together making up the maximum. So for example, the cast stone here, you see 135,000 times 100%. The maximum is at 800%. So that is what makes the 1,080,000 physical attack in the max window. Alright, so now that you know that, we're going to jump back to the table, and I have made the comparison here to make it easy for you, easy for everyone to compare the artifacts. So here you see the relics, artifacts, relics. I wish they just used one word for it, otherwise now I'm forced to use both words. Artifact and relic are the same thing for our analysis purpose. So here we have the relics: Azure Stiletto, Demonic Texture, Downfall, and so forth. And here you have all their stats, and I've highlighted for you the highest stat. So for example, if you are interested in physical attack, the highest two are Hand of Riddles and Height of Heroism with 1,440,000 physical attack. I have also added at the bottom in orange here further guidance. So the minimum value is 1,032,000 for physical attack, and that is Azure Stiletto over here, and the maximum value is 1,440,000, and the difference is 408,000. So there is actually stats wise a massive difference between the lowest and the highest. In case of physical attack, the difference is 40%. In case of so physical or magic attack. In case of the defense, is either physical or magical, the difference is even bigger at 63%, because the Rapier of Damnation has more than 1.5 million physical defense and magical defense, whereas the lowest one is at 960,000, which is the Spear of Slumber here, at the lowest defense. So there's a huge difference between those two values. If we go to penetration and block, those are, I think, the higher misunderstood stats. There is a even bigger difference between the lowest 120,000 and the highest 360 or 480. A huge difference, and I'll speak more about penetration and block in this video, but a bit later on. And then health, which is also having a huge double. Basically, the highest health values are at 10 million and 800. I think that's a misspelling. It's supposed to be 800. I will just quickly jump on over here and go to Paralyzing Dagger. Oh no, it is where is it? Health. No, that's not the Paralyzing Dagger. One moment. Paralyzing Dagger. Did I misspell that? Okay, I'm gonna double check that. But Oracle Art should be correct. 10,800,000 HP, correct. And why have I misspelled the Paralyzing Dagger? And yeah, if I have misspelled it, I will just correct it after the video. Oh no, I haven't misspelled it. There it is. Paralyzing Dagger, 10,080,000 HP. So those are the two highest HP values in the health among all the different relics. And the lowest one is at 5 million, so more than half of that. So that's the Rapier of Damnation, which is the highest defense but the lowest health, and that is a massive difference. So some characters have like 3 million health only, so that is like a significant thing that you cannot ignore. Alright, so far we've looked at the stats, and you can go and visit the article if you want to look at them more in detail. And now I start giving you some analysis for the based on stats. Now, if we look at the attack, the maximum damage for physical or magical attack we are seeing is the Hand of Riddles and Height of Heroism here. And for magic attack is the Azure Stiletto, 1.5 million. That's actually even the maximum value. So those are the two. Those are the relics that you would look at if you're looking at attack. If you're looking at defense, Rapier of Damnation is coming up on top because it has more than 1.5 million. Then we also have second, third places, Height of Heroism at 1.4 million, Azure Stiletto magic defense 1.5, but the physical defense is low. Same for Height of Heroism, high physical but low magic defense. And then you have the Unholy, I would say that's more balanced for a second place perhaps, 1.2 million physical and 1.4 million magic defense. But when it comes to defense, nothing beats the Rapier of Damnation, as you can see here clearly. Then we have the penetration observation. So penetration should be looked together with attack. A lot of people are ignoring that. I have no idea why they're ignoring that. So let's jump back into the game. If you open your stats window, you will see a phenomenon where everybody's attack is significantly higher than penetration. It is obvious that penetration has a higher weight than attack. You could relatively easily get a bunch of extra attack, but you cannot get it's very difficult to raise penetration and block. It's physically very difficult in the game to do that. Therefore these stats are more valuable in that sense. Now penetration, what does it do? So if the enemy blocks normally before penetration was introduced, then 50% of the damage you dealt would be deleted or would be removed, so they would only receive 50% of the damage. Now with penetration, penetration allows you to penetrate their block, thereby doing more damage. So if you were able to reduce his 50% down to 20%, that's 30% extra damage. Now of course he is going to be increasing his block, that is your enemy, so he or she are going to increase their block to counter your penetration, and you should increase your penetration to counter their block. So that's a normal back and forth, the same way as attack and defense are working. So you cannot just ignore it. Also, misunderstanding that a block can be completely removed or penetration can be completely removed. No, there are fixed values. Like you can never not crit if you unless you're having a Will Destroy or Astral. Apart from that, you can never not crit. If you remove all your crit, you're still gonna crit because there is a minimum percentage hard-coded that you will do something. So if you remove all your block, you're still going to block. It's just going to be less frequent. So in that regard, penetration and block are both very useful stats. And if you look at the stats of the relics, you can see that the average of the regular stats like physical attack, magic attack, physical defense, or magic defense is around let's say I will say roughly speaking, you can calculate it, but it's around 1,000,000. But an average here is around 200,000. I don't have the exact figures in front of me right now, but the ratio between them is 1 to 5. So for every point of basically you'd need to divide by 5 to get the penetration value, or multiply the penetration value by 5 to get a regular stat value. So based on the relics, the penetration or block have 5 times more weight, but you can also get a ratio from the game. So for example, my physical attack here is 1.7 million, and my penetration is 45,000 only, so that's even a bigger ratio. So if we take 1730069 and divide by 45286, that's a 38 ratio. And we can also open the ranking for top players. So if we not to use my character as an example, let's look at top players. We can see, okay, player strength, current server. We can have a look at the biggest battle rating player on our server. There you have physical attack, that's 3 million physical attack, penetration 47,000. You see, it's way easier to get attack than it is to get penetration. His block is at 12. You know, so if you would increase the block by 100,000, that's a significant increase. So I think, okay, so that's an explanation for you about penetration and block. Now in penetration, the strongest artifact is Spear of Slumber, 360,000 penetration. That is you know, almost 10 times the amount of what somebody would have. Then Sword of Delusion is the highest for block, 480,000 block. That's 10 times more block than I have, like in total. Like, ignore you know, all my gems, all my refinements, everything. This is 10 times more than that. So that's a significant amount. You cannot ignore these things. Then we have the health observation there. I already said the highest. Now let's look at classes. So if you're an archer, most likely you are going to be interested in physical attack and penetration. And when I talk about classes as well, I'm going to talk about the stereotypical classes as they are in theory, because a lot of players nowadays are playing like an archer. Basically, because as the game changes, you evolve to the game. Before, for example, a lot of knights and mages would use Will Destroyer. Well, the game changed and made the Will Destroyer less interesting, so everybody switched to a crit build and started playing like an archer. So in my article, I try to give the class, theoretical class differences. So class preferences based on stats alone. So far we're in part 1 of the analysis, and we're looking purely at stats. So purely at stats, an archer would look at physical attack, maximizing the damage, so physical attack and penetration. So you want to do more damage, and if the enemy blocks, you want to get through that block and do more damage anyways. So penetration having a higher weight. Now you can multiply the penetration by 5, or you can multiply the penetration by whatever value you want, but you cannot have it as the same. So you cannot say like 1 million physical attack plus 216. No, that's not fair. They're not 1-to-1, as I already explained. So you can do penetration times 5, or penetration times 3, or penetration times 7, whatever you feel is more appropriate. I think in this analysis, I don't remember from the top of my head, I didn't use times 5. I think I used times 3 or times 2.5. I don't remember, but the point is that you have to give more weight to the penetration. So if you give more weight to the penetration and you add to that the attack, and you compare the different artifacts, then the top 3 artifacts based on stats only, part 1 of the analysis, are Height of Heroism, Spear of Slumber, and Hand of Riddles. So Height of Heroism over here, Spear of Slumber over here, and the third one, what did I say, is Hand of Riddles. And Hand of Riddles over here. So Hand of Riddles and Hide are more heavy on the physical attack, their penetration is lower, but still very far, still much higher than the minimum, which is 120. They still have pretty respectable penetrations. And the Spear of Slumber has a bit lower physical attack, but a significantly higher penetration. So that's for Archer. Now for mages, nowadays play like archers, so we'll look again on magic attack and penetration. So not physical, but magic attack. So you want to do a lot of magic attack damage, and you want to penetrate through the enemy's defenses. So when we look at that, we see Spear of Slumber, Azure Stiletto, Hand of Riddles. So let's go up. Spear of Slumber, 1.2 million magic attack and a very high penetration, 360,000. Let's go back to the game and pick one of the higher mages from my guild. So let's do by battle rating and pick who is a mage there, Xu. And let's have a look at his penetration, 100,000. So that's pretty cool, because I think that's higher than average. Others have like 40,000 or so. So you see, even his entire penetration of everything he's invested, and I think he has added talents, nitro talents here to increase it that much. The relic would give him 360, so like significantly more penetration than that. So let's have a look at another mage, Isabel. Isabel is running with 45,000 penetration. And let's look at a third one, Frau. And Frau is running at 59,000 penetration. So as you can see, the artifact based on stats alone is very interesting, giving a huge amount of penetration, a very good amount of magic attack. And then second, Azure Stiletto, Hand of Riddles. So Azure Stiletto, the highest magic attack among the relics, and a decent amount of penetration. And what did I say? Hand of Riddles, third one. Hand of Riddles, 1.4 million on magic attack and a decent amount of penetration. So if you add the magic attack stat and penetration with a higher weight, so multiplied by a certain factor, you rank the relics, this is what you would get based on only stats, so part 1 of the analysis. Then knights. Now for knights, I don't want to repeat the same thing. Knights will also probably be interested in physical attack and penetration because they want to play like archers. So not to repeat the same thing, I gave 2 different variations for knights. So the stereotypical knight class. So one is the highest defense. So if you want to be the highest defense knight, then you have Sword of Delusion, Rapier of Domination, or Valor's Edge, Paralyzing Dagger, one of those. So all of those would give you high defense, and that also of course includes a block. Now then you also have most balance, so which will give like a good amount across all the stats. You know, a bunch of attack, a bunch of defense, you know, a good balance overall. So that's Spear of Slumber or Sword of Delusion. Let's look at those two. Spear of Slumber, again, so very high amount of penetration, very high amount of block, 360,000. That's the second. I should have highlighted this one in green actually, because that's a very significant amount of block as well. It does have lowest defenses, but it has also very good amount of attack. In health, it also has close to 10 million, 8.6 million. So that's a pretty decent balanced relic artifact. So our Sword of Delusion was the next one, was it? Let's quickly scroll down. Yes, or Sword of Delusion. So those two I would say are fighting for rank number 1 for the most balanced. Good amount of attack, good amount or okay amount of defenses, very high, highest in block, decent amount in penetration, lower health. So I personally think the Spear of Slumber is the most balanced one, but those come close up. So that's how the analysis by stats alone is done. So once you say, okay, I'm interested in what? Defense, then you go to the defense paragraph. That's to see your recommendation. Or if you want to go to the mixed ones like For physical attack penetration, go to the archer's paragraph. For the most balanced relic, go to the knight's most balanced paragraph. And and that way you find your top 3. Now top 3 doesn't mean that you have to take the number 1. Top 3 means those are the 3 best relics when analyzed by stats alone of part 1 of the analysis. Now you remember your top 3 because we're going to use that once we add the part 2. Now we come to the part 2 of the analysis, which is looking at the skills of the relics. Now for the skills of the relics, of course, you are going to see that at the bottom of the max preview. It is showing, for example, in this case, demonic texture, 15% chance to cause an enemy to forget 3 skills last 2 turns. But you don't get that skill straight away. As you can see, for example, it starts with level 1, which is only a 1% chance, so pretty negligible, insignificant amount. So here I have listed all the skills next to each other in the table of Relic Guide Part 2. So Part 2 of the guide, and I've listed all the skills so to make it easier for you to read them and compare them. But I've also added PvP or PvE. So for example, Azure Stiletto, I've said it's 90% for people who are interested in PvP, because what it does is it removes one beneficial buff from the target. So somebody puts up a shield, you remove the shield. Somebody puts up, I don't know, whatever, you remove it. Somebody puts up Santoria to heal themselves, you remove the Santoria. So it's pretty cool. That's why I said it's majority PvP. Sometimes it might help you with PvE, so that's why I didn't say 100%. But then there are skills like demonic texture. I say it's 100% for PvP, so player against player, because it has chance to make the enemy forget skills, and that's something totally useless in player versus environment PvE, but it's very useful in PvP. Somebody goes to Sylph mode, you make him forget 3 skills, he cannot hit you with his Delphic, you hit him with your Delphic, you win, fantastic. So that's a PvP skill. So we can discuss, of course, the percentage, like how much PvP it is, how much PvE it is, but I've posted my what I believe is the case, and it doesn't matter if it's plus minus 10% in that area. So then I have here, for example, and other artifacts, I have both that are useful in both cases. So for example, Oracle Arch, 5% chance to recover health. Well, that's useful no matter what you do. Healing is useful. So it's not only for PvP, it's not only for PvE, it's generally useful, and a bunch of skills are like that. So what you do is you read and you take your top and then I come to the methods, the 3 methods which you're going to use, which you can use to pick the best relic for you. So what I suggest is, so method number 1, top 3 stats, choose top 3 stats, then choose one of their skills. So for example, if you're a mage, let's go to the mages, and let's say you want to, you don't care about defense, let's say, and you want to pick the mage's paragraph. So the mage's paragraph here is about total damage, maximizing damage output, so magic attack and penetration. Okay, fine. So what is it recommending based on stats? Based on stats, it's recommending the top 3: Spear of Slumber, Azure Stiletto, Hand of Riddles. Okay, now let's go to look at the skills of Spear of Slumber, Azure Stiletto, and Hand of Riddles. So Azure Stiletto is the first one, so 40% chance to remove one beneficial buff from the target. That's a PvP thing. So for example, if you PvP a lot, you do battleground every day, you do, I don't know, whatever, you fight players a lot, and you're interested in PvP, that's what you're interested in, you don't care about dungeons and so forth, that's a really good artifact for a mage who is interested in PvP. The 40% chance to remove the beneficial buff is going to, remove anything nice that the enemy puts on their character, and is going to help you kill him or her much easier. Okay, so that's definitely one good idea. Now the next one was, 1 second, a lot of information, I can't remember everything by heart. Spear of Slumber and Hand of Riddles, which one is alphabetically next? Hand of Riddles is next. Hand of Riddles, it's useful in everywhere, PvP and PvE. After taking damage, 15% chance to recover HP, equal to 45% of damage dealt next turn. I personally don't like this skill. It's just a personal preference. If you like this skill, then this would be another definite possibility for your choice over Relic. If you like this skill, I don't like it, so I'm gonna say I don't like it. I take it out of my top 3. So now I have 1 Azure Stiletto as a possibility. I have and I removed that one. Now the next one was Spear, or was it the Spear of Slumber? Yes, Spear of Slumber. So then we'll look at the skill of the Spear of Slumber. 15% chance to ignore 30% of enemies' physical defense when enemy is hit. So that's also useful in both PvP and PvE, but it's very specific, you know, it's only targeting physical defense. So that means if you fight a lot of knights, if you fight a lot of archers, you know, that could be interesting. But it's also the fact that you're doing magic defense, magic attack, and this is reducing physical defense, so that they don't match, you see. So in that regard, the skill of the Spear of Slumber is saying no, that's totally useless for me as a mage. So the stats are saying this is the best for the stats for the mage, but the skill is saying no, it's not really good. So we have to take that out as well, together with Hand of Riddles. So then we're left with the recommendation of Azure Stiletto. So that's using method number 1, when you take the top 3 of the skills and top 3 of the stats, and then you say, okay, which of those top 3 has the best skill for me? So as if I was looking at if I was a mage, I would so far be looking at Azure Stiletto. Then method number 2 says, okay, no, let's do it the other way around. Let's pick the best skill that I like and see which one of those has the best stats for the mage. So let's pick a random one. What's good for, let's say you like healing. Let's say you say, okay, I love Oracle Arch. I don't care that it's 5%. It's low for me. 5% is very low, the chance of activation. But let's say you love it, I don't know, for whatever reason. So let's say you love this one, 15% HP. Okay, then you go back to the table for Oracle Arch and see, is it good for you as a mage in terms of stats? Now Oracle Arch has almost the worst magic attack. No, it is the worst. It is the worst magic attack. You will have 500,000 less magic attack if you pick Oracle Arch. In terms of defenses, it's almost the worst defense from the relics. In terms of penetration and block, it is also almost the worst. The only thing good that it has is it has the best health. But in that regard, I would say that this would be not a good thing to choose for a mage. So if that's the skill that you liked, so let's go back to the skills. I would say don't pick, you looked at the skill, go back to the table, look at the stats, and no, although I like the skill, the stats are horrible for a mage, so I wouldn't take that. Okay, let's pick another one where the skill you like. Let's see what's good for a mage here. Let's pick something that's good in both, because that's a demonic texture is nice skill as well. But let's take something that's useful in both PvP and PvE. So Paralyzing Dagger, what does it do? Okay, damage received. So let's say Paralyzing Dagger, let's say you like this skill, 15% chance to reduce damage received by almost half. It's really cool for two turns, so it's really helping keeping you defended. Pretty nice. Let's say you like this skill. Now let's go back and see if that's good for a mage in terms of stats. Paralyzing Dagger. Let's go to the table. Paralyzing Dagger. Also the worst magic attack. Defense is decent. Defense is pretty decent. 1.32 million. So that's good. Penetration and block are higher than Oracle Arch by 40,000, 50,000, and has one of the best healths. So that already is looking a lot better than Oracle Arch. So if you like those two skills, then you could eliminate the Oracle Arch and start looking at Paralyzing Dagger. So that's method number 2. Method number 2 is pick the top 3 skills that you like. Don't take one, take the best 3 that you like. Pick 3. And then go back to the table and say which one of these 3 is the best for in terms of stats. And that's method number 2. Now there's also the skill only thinking, which is method number 3, which is very specific to skills that I mentioned here, and that skill only thinking completely ignores stats because the player is not interested in stats, which is a dangerous thing because stats are of course very significant. But there are a few skills where that can be considered, and the number one is stun. There's only one artifact, one relic in the list that has stun, and that's Unholy Saber. Unholy Saber has 15% chance to stun the enemy for 3 turns. Now, that is something I have written 100% PvP, but to be fair, I will go down to the comments here. Ron has mentioned that for him, the Unholy Saber worked in Lord's Trial. Now, I asked for clarification. I haven't received a reply yet. Maybe he hasn't seen my question. But of course, normally in Wartune, the bosses are not possible to stun. That's been the rule in Wartune for a long time. Now, he says that he was able to get it activated in Lord's Trial and in Broken Space. Now, that's something I have either I have missed or I don't know. Normally, I assumed the bosses cannot be stunned. I didn't have time to check that. But if that works, if you can stun the bosses both in PvE and you can stun players in PvP, then that's of course an interesting relic artifact if you're interested in stun. So if you say, I have to have stun, I don't care about anything else because stun is so awesome, no other relic gives stun, so there's nothing to compare to, then you don't look at the stats. Then you say, okay, that's the one I'm gonna choose. I don't care about the stats. It could have the worst stats, but I don't care because I want the stun. So that's method number 3 for those specific, really unique skill effects. Now the second one, the second exception I've mentioned is something that's 100% PvP. There are players, and I know there are players who don't care about PvE at all. They don't care about dungeons, they don't care about campaigns, nothing. They only have fun in PvP. And so for these players, then the 100% PvP artifacts are more interesting probably. And so let's say the one demonic texture. Demonic texture is very interesting because it makes the enemy forget. So it's only for PvP and makes the enemy forget 3 out of the 5 skills that he has. And that's very dangerous thing in PvP. Now in the game we have a rune. Where is it? Oh, I there it is. Amnesia. I'm having amnesia myself about Amnesia. So Amnesia there were times that Amnesia was very popular, and still some people really love Amnesia because what does it do? It prevents the enemy from using skills. Now in case of Amnesia, it's 5 skills, but you use it once and then 60 seconds you cannot use it. But relics, you can. The relic can work every turn, if you're lucky. But at 15% chance, that's like 1 in every 6 turns. You will make the enemy forget 3 skills. It's very, very irritating to the enemy, and it can definitely result in you winning the battle. And it lasts for 2 turns. So 2 turns he won't be able to use 3 skills, and it might be the exact skill that he needs. Let's say he was planning to do rain dance with his frigate to heal, and you block his rain dance, well then he is in trouble. So if you are that kind of mindset, then the method number 3, skill only thinking, is the way which you should pick your relic. So that's the explanation. I have then discussions and recommendations afterwards, which you can read yourself, because the video has already gone long enough. Don't want to spend more time on it, so I suggest you read that yourself, and you can visit the article. But that's how that's all there is about relics. So it's a comprehensive long reference article, and that's how you should read the article, and that's how you should select the relics. So you don't go and say, okay, here, Cosmos is written, Heart of Heroism is number 1, so I must pick number 1. No, this is the analysis by stats. In analysis by stats, this is the top 3 relics which are falling for the best for physical attack and penetration. Or if you're interested to have the highest, maybe you want to make a character that has the highest block in the whole server. So then you look at the block. In the block, you see that the best relic by far for block is the Sword of Delusion, with 480,000 block. Like I said, that's 10 times more than people have block. So maybe you want to maximize your block and, you know, cut the enemy's damage in half. That could be, you know, somebody's strategy. So then you look in the block paragraph, but that doesn't mean that's the best relic for you, because then you cannot ignore the skills. Then you say, okay, the block is the highest one is rapier. The highest one is the Sword of Delusion. You go to Sword of Delusion, and you see here 480. But you look at also the other stats. Are they acceptable for you? Then you scroll down to the skills. So Sword of Delusion. Each block has 5% chance to reverse 90% damage. Yes, that's definitely matching the relic, because if you maximize your block, then you will block more, and each block that you do is gonna have the 90% damage reversal, which is pretty cool in PvP. It's also, of course, it works in PvE. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It's just you don't need it. You can, you know, you can manage in PvE without it. But this is very, very dangerous in PvP. So yeah, then that would be a really good recommendation for block. But if it had a bad skill, then you would go to the second best. So which is the second best for block? It is the Spear of Slumber, 360. And if that one had a bad skill, you'd go to the third best. After the 360, the next is 288, Valor's Edge, which is also a very big amount. And then if you like the skill, say, okay, great, so then I'm going to go with that one. So you cannot use part 1 only, you cannot use part 2 only, you have to use both parts, the stats and the skills, and one of the methods. So either you take top 3 stats and then you see which skill do you like of those 3 and pick that one. Or you take top 3 skills and then you go back to the stats and see which of those 3 you like the stats the best and pick that one. Or if you are in this exceptional method 3, with those really specific situations of stun or PvP, then you pick your skill and you pick that relic, and that's the best for you. So that is all there is about relics. I've also put a link here at the bottom to artifact relic upgrade requirements. I've also mentioned here that if you like to support my work, you can do so, because it is a lot of work. So if you appreciate, if you like my work, you benefit from my work, and you are able to support, please do that. You can click here, it'll go to the page, you can read about it, and if you like it, you can support. But I've also put here artifact relic upgrade requirements analysis. So that was an article that I published previously, and here you can find also all the requirements for upgrading based on for the crystals as well as for the cast stones, and that should also help you. And these 2 articles are you know, everything you need to know about relics, to pick the best one, and any question you have, that's all you need. Everything is there. So I'm a little bit tired from all the from all of this explanation and long video. I hope if you've watched all this, then thanks for watching, and I hope it was useful for you. Please do click on like for the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. My Wartune blog is at wartune.dollygames.com, and my gaming portal is at dollygames.com, and my Patreon page and all the links are in the description of the video if you wish to support the work. So that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. Share the information with your friends so they can benefit as well. And yeah, put your thoughts in the comments of the YouTube video or the blog article. And if you have any questions, ask them. If I'm able to, I will reply. I do my best to reply to everyone. So as long as people are, discussing in a polite manner, that's fine. So if I don't answer your question, that doesn't mean that whatever negative. I could be super busy. I get tons of emails and questions and comments, and I am just one person trying to manage everything plus work on top of that. So that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed all of that. I hope you benefit from all of that. Thanks for watching and have a very nice day.